So now that we have all the video squared away, we're going to go talk to the audio technician to make sure that we have the audio for the broadcast also coming in through the video switcher and going out to broadcast on channel 78 and tape. So let's go talk to Robinson, see what he can do for us. Hey Robinson.
Hey Justin.
Do you have some music for us to listen to maybe?
I'd love to give you some music. How about a little Romer?
Yeah. Alright, cool. So we have some audio coming through here on the console, and we're going to go into the matrix to make sure that the audio that's coming out of here, out of the broadcast bus, is going into the video switcher. So let's go do that now. So, we dealt with the video matrix down here before. Now we're going to go up to an almost identical unit. That's the audio matrix. So, we have two patches that we need to do right here. First, we need to take the B bus, which is the broadcast bus, from the Mackie, which is what Robinson is mixing the entire show on. We need to take that as a source and assign it to the switcher. It's called the MX70. That's the name of the switcher. Input 1. So that's the destination. So, it's the same sort of key presses as the video switcher, but there's only one kind of audio, so it's a lot easier. We're going to do input 3, so source 3, which is the B bus, and then do out, so destination 3, which also happens to be the input on the switcher. And now we do audio take, and we should have levels coming in there. Now, what we also need to do is we need to make sure that the audio that's coming out of the switcher goes into channel 78. So this is assuming that we're doing live broadcast on channel 78. If we were doing live in-school broadcast, we would just change this part of the patching slightly to reflect that. So for audio source this time, we're going to choose the Panasonic MX70 switcher, and that's source 1. So we're going to do in 1, and then out. Now we're going to find in the destinations, right here, it says channel 78. So that's output 18, and then audio take. So now whatever's coming out through the switcher, in terms of our audio, is what's going to go onto channel 78. What's coming out through the switcher is hopefully going to be what's coming from Robin's console. Now the very last thing we need to do before we're absolutely done is we need to make sure that the video is also going to go to channel 78. Now, the video for channel 78 is actually composite. So, composite source 1 right here is the control room switcher. That's exactly what we want to start with. So, we're going to do in 1 for control room switcher, and then our destination rather, output, is going to be number 11, which is Cablevision channel 78. And now here's the important part. We have to remember that because this is composite video, that we push video take, not SVID take. Video take. Alright, so now we're going to hurry back to the control room, because right now we should be on air with a nice poster of Jimi Hendrix and some Romer audio. So let's go see. Alright, now we're back in the control room. We have a few things to check on the switcher. The very first thing we're going to check is making sure that the audio is actually coming through all the way to the switcher. So if you look right up here towards the top right of the display screen, you'll notice some bars. Right now they're not doing anything. This is actually your audio meter, and this line right here is your 0 mark, meaning that that's what you're aiming for most of the time. If you're hitting above that line, you're probably distorting the audio on the broadcast and maybe the recording. So the audio is coming in through right here, through source 1. So we have to bring this up. Usually about here is good. And we also need to bring up the red one because that's our master. So right now, as you can see, we have audio coming through here. And you're going to hear it through the TV right up here, through the speakers. And if you look over here, you can see the audio indicators on the tape deck. Because if you remember from before, what goes through this tape deck is exactly what you're watching on this monitor right here. That's why you have, it says no cassette right now, it has all this stuff on the side. That text is not going to broadcast, but that text is coming from this tape deck, which means that you can monitor the status of your recording as you're going through your broadcast monitor. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that all the broadcast is actually happening. It's great if we can get all the data, all the video and the audio to this tape deck, but if it's not going out to channel 78, there's no point in doing a live show. So we're going to switch the TV. Instead of looking at this, we're going to look at the cable box and see what's actually on channel 78 right now. So we're going to take the remote, push input, and switch to input 3. Now, right now, we are actually looking at channel 78, Educational Access, on Cablevision. And if you notice, we have a picture of Jimi Hendrix. And we have Romer going through there too. Now it's important to note, as I said before, is because of digital processing delays, you don't get immediate response on channel 78. So if you leave it on this during the show, you're going to have a lot of trouble mixing. Here's why. Let's say I want to switch. See how that happened about a second and a half after I actually did it? That's because of the processing delay, like I said. Now, once we're sure that it is actually going at 7 to 8, we're very, very close to being done. We can switch back using the input to input 2. And what we want to do at this point is get a mini DV tape that we have the ability to record on. Pop it right in here. And now the text indicators on our broadcast monitor are showing us that it just got a tape in there and that it stopped. And of course, we're going to rewind all the way to the beginning. Looks like it already is there. And then we're going to record with record and play at the same time. And of course we want to start the recording at least 10 seconds before we actually plan on going on air. Now if this were a real broadcast, what we would usually do is have the switcher set to something innocuous, like a black screen, so maybe the internal color generator, so in this case it's blue, and have all the audio off before we check it on channel 78 and before we start the show. This way we can switch over to channel 78 to the switcher before the show starts, and then start the show from here. Essentially, we're giving the switcher control over what's going to channel 78 without changing the content immediately. So this way we can start the show right from here. Also to note is the TV system, which is what normally goes to channel 78, is available right here on input 4 or input D. So if you switch to that, you can literally start the show right from here, because the take bar now becomes your way of starting broadcast. So we have recording going right here, and at this point the show's basically on its way. It's very important at this point to make sure that all the camera people are in their positions, they know their assignments, know that they're camera A, B, C, whatever. They know the terminology that you're going to use with them, all the phrases and commands, so that they can function efficiently, effectively, very quickly, and understand your direction. And one of the most important things is making sure that at the end of the show, you properly go back to the regular programming. You can't just turn off all the equipment and expect everything to be the way it was originally. There's unpatching to do in the matrix. So we should probably go do that now that the show's done. Alright, so now that the show is over and we've switched back to the TV system on the switcher, on input D, we're going to switch all the stuff back here to its regular assignments, so that when we turn off all the equipment in the TV control room, everything remains the way it's supposed to be, so the TV system still stays on channel 78 and the proper audio is going everywhere. So there are actually very few patches that need to be done right now. The first one is the video for channel 78. The normal source for channel 78 is actually the Lightronics mini switcher, so, or the mini T switcher rather. So that is source number 40, and it's a composite video source. So we're going to push in 40, out, and the destination number is 11, so out 11. And because it's composite video source, we're going to push video take. So now if all went right, we should have the TV system back on channel 78, and any scheduled programming that Mr. Honeycutt or Mr. Zito schedule into the Mini-T should take over as planned. And lastly, we want to make sure that even though the TV system doesn't have any audio associated with it, all the TV shows that are scheduled onto channel 78 do. So we want to make sure that the audio from the Mini-T switcher is also going to channel 78. So we're going to find... Oh, that's very nice. So it's also audio source number 40. So up here we're going to push in 40 for the Mini-T, out channel 78, which is 18, and audio take. So now, if all of that went right, channel 78 is back to its usual programming, and we're all set in here for the day. Alright, so now we're back in the control room. We're going to switch to channel 78 and make sure that all the changes we made in the matrix took effect. So, we're going to go to the remote again, input 3, and it looks like channel 78 is back to its normal self with the slideshow. So, all that being done, we can turn off all the equipment in here, starting with the switcher. Remember, that's very important. The switcher goes off by itself with the switch right here. Once that's off, we can turn off all of this with this one switch. And that's all done. And lastly, just to make Mike Phillips happy, we will push this button to switch all of those first 3 time-based correctors, TBCs, back to the feed from the cafeteria cameras that's used for the Board of Ed meetings, rather than having them being fed by the cameras in the studio. So that'll make things a little bit easier next time. So we're all set. We covered how to set up the cameras properly, how to connect them, how to set up the ClearComm system, how to test the cameras and ClearComms, how to patch all the video into the switcher, how it kind of gets routed around here for the most part, a little bit about the switcher, how the audio comes in from the console, and then all that stuff goes right back out to channel 78 and to recording in this deck right here. It was a great lesson. I'm glad you could stick around for it. Good luck.